Nicolas Denoncin, Area Sales Manager here at Dynaset, and I will be speaking to you today about transportation operations with the help of Dynaset. Obviously, this webinar will be held in English, but don't worry too much about this. If you're not too fluent in English, there will be some subtexted versions later on. This is the projects, at least at the time. So, of course, it's too bad if I'm not in front of you as an audience, a real audience. It's always so much nicer to speak to people instead of speaking to a camera, but we'll have to do with it. Nonetheless, there will be some Q&A, that is questions and answers. There will be this possibility at the end of the webinar. So if you have some questions, we can ask them at that moment, and we will then get back to the information needed if we can provide right at the moment. Otherwise, we'll get back to you later on. Moreover, this is not exactly a product training. We are not going to train you very specifically about the product. This is more a description of the product offering. Of course, there will be some descriptions of how some of the products function per se. But we will not be going very in-depth into technical specifications in this webinar. This is not the point. This is not the aim. This webinar is meant to be understandable by most, which is to say that some of you will find some of the information that I give you very obvious, but please keep in mind that for some others, they are not that obvious. And also, please bear in mind that I am really not a transportations or logistics specialist. I sell Dynaset products for a living. I know about them, but as I said, I'm not a specialist of transportation. So please be understanding if you are one. Right? That was all about the webinar. Transportation with Dynaset. But who is Dynaset? Dynaset, who? It's a family-owned factory in Finland. And it's a factory, meaning that we create these products that we propose to you. They are developed and fabricated, built in Finland. It's real, made in Finland. This factory is 35 years old this year. And right from the beginning, this company has been built on hydraulic know-how. And the idea that Reijo Karpinen, our boss, the idea that he had was to develop all kinds of products based on this hydraulic know-how. So to make it short and to summarize, we propose extra compact products which have been developed for mobile machinery in many industries and also in the field of transportation, obviously. This compact aspect of things is obtainable thanks to the very compact size of the hydraulic components. But we will be using a hydraulic power source, and we will be transforming this hydraulic power into other forms of energy. And for this, of course, we need to have a hydraulic power source, and how to create it on a mobile machinery. Well, here you have it. We will be using mostly a power takeoff, or PTO, that will take its movement from a special place on mainly the transmission side of an engine, several places possible, or even directly on the engine itself. And this PTO will be giving movement, will be giving power, will be moving a hydraulic pump. This hydraulic pump, in turn, of course, will press oil, and there we have it. We have a hydraulic power source on a mobile machinery with an engine. In case that the engine at hand doesn't have this possibility of installing a power takeoff on the transmission, we also have the possibility of installing a Dynaset HPTO. Generally speaking, it will be needed more on smaller vehicles. And the Dynaset HPTO here is something that goes at the front of the engine and it takes its movement from the crankshaft pulley there. So now that we have this hydraulic power pump running, this hydraulic power pump can be running on a truck, on a car, on a train, on a ship, anywhere there. But this hydraulic pump running, we have hydraulic power. And now that we have this hydraulic, the power source is available on board. Now that we have this power source available on board, it's not yet done. Before we can use it, we need a few more things. Besides the hydraulic pump, in order to obtain a hydraulic system per se, we need a hydraulic oil tank, an hydraulic oil cooler, and also a regulating and distribution valve block. Once we have all these things plugged together, we have a hydraulic system. There we are. And once we have this hydraulic system, we can convert this hydraulic power into other forms of energies, as I said earlier, and serve many different purposes, meet many needs, thanks to the Dynaset products, which are transforming, again, hydraulic power into other forms of energy. There. Today, in the field of transportation and in the transportation industry, generally speaking, we will be seeing what the HG, HGV, HGG power generators can bring as an edge, what the HMG and HMAG magnetic products can bring and help you do in that field. Also the same with the HK and HKR air compressors, the HPW water pumps, and the derived products. We'll be speaking as well about the HCF hydraulic fan or vacuum unit. HCF, on which is built an end product called the HRVB, which is a hydraulic vacuum bucket, and also the HPU hydraulic power units. All of these things will be developed hereafter. And let's start right away, or let's jump right in with the power generators. So with these HG, HGV, HGG, the principle is very simple. We are going to be transforming hydraulic power into electricity and make it available on board for any purpose that you can think of. So how does it work? Well, it's pretty much the same as any dynamo system, alternator system. There will be a stator here, and inside of the stator there will be a rotor. This rotor, by running the rotor, making it turn, it will create an electromagnetic field, and this electromagnetic field will transform into electricity. And this electricity there is afterwards disposed of the way we want. This electricity, it will be distributed through an interface like this, or in many other ways possible as well. But now the interesting thing is that how do we run this rotor inside this stator to make this electricity? Well, we use a hydraulic motor. This hydraulic motor will use, obviously, the hydraulic power from the base machine, coming from the hydraulic pump and the PTO. And By turning, it will run this rotor. And there you have it. We will create electricity. Of course, it's not as simple as you can think because, well, some things are changing depending on the fact that you are using electricity or not using electricity. But let's say that we have become master in the regulation of the hydraulic feed to the motor in order for the motor to run very, 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 very steadily, to have a very finely regulated rotational speed, and therefore have a very clean power produced. So based upon this system, we have several products, the HG, HGV, and HGG. Very nice words, and let's try to figure out what they mean. HG, hydraulic generators. They are just making power, simply making power, electric power to be disposed of the way you need to and the way you want to. The range available is from 3.5 to about 80 kVA and even more. The range is divided between 50 hertz machines and 60 hertz machines in protection class IP23 or IP54. There is a very wide range of products, so make your pick. Make your pick to use it in your transportation operations. You can feed cooling systems with it, heating systems. You can feed any tools and equipments. It can be used as an emergency power to feed some other things. We also make not only alternative current generators, but also DC direct current power supplies on the same principle. In order to, for example, recharge batteries, special batteries that need to be recharged. The interest with these products was one of the interests. It was also introduced at the beginning of this presentation, is that they are very much smaller and lighter than, for example, a genset. They are much smaller and much lighter than a jet set without also the creation of additional exhaust gases. We will be using a motor which is, per definition, already running to do something else and use some of its power to make electricity. So here is about HG. Now we have two sorts of basic power production products. The HG hydraulic generator, as we just saw, which is for usage on a more stationary vehicle. And then there is the HGV hydraulic generator variable, which is meant to be used while the vehicle is in motion. So what's the difference? You will tell me why. Why does it have to be a difference? Does there have to be a difference between mobile or stationary? It's very simple. Because depending on either the speed the vehicle will be running or simply the engine revolution speed, that is RPM, revolution per minute, the hydraulic pump that is run by the transmission or the motor itself, it's the same also on a ship. The hydraulic pump will not be running always at the same speed while you are moving. So the HG is a simpler system which will need for the hydraulic pump to run at a steady pace. So for example, when the truck or the car or the ship is stopped, then it will receive a steady flow of oil. But the HGV, it's another thing. The HGV will be able to take exactly the amount of hydraulic power it needs from the hydraulic pump, because it's a special hydraulic pump which will be producing more or less flow and make it available to the HGV even if the engine is running very slow or very fast. So that's the basic difference between these two, the basic functioning difference. Now, about this HGV, which is quite interesting because, as we said, you can have some electric power available while you are using your vehicle. You have two main manners of obtaining this HGV. Either it will be a basic system or a kit, where you see that you will be needing an HG unit and a hydraulic pump and an oil cooler and a tank and a regulating valve system and distribution system. It will be a kit that will be mounted specifically, choosing specific components for a specific application, for a specific vehicle. So we have a nice range there too, 6, 5, 10, 12, 19, and 26 kVA available as a kit. But then there's also another concept, which is called the power box. It's also an HGV, but it's basically composed of two main parts. You will have a special hydraulic pump on the vehicle, because of course we will always need a hydraulic pump. But all the rest, the hydraulic system, the distribution valve, the cooling capacity and everything, all of it is contained in a special box, which makes it very, very much more simple to install. You will need to be able to locate this box on the vehicle, make the connections between the pump and the HGV, and then there is the electric interface that allows you to distribute power, electric power, anywhere you want, anywhere you need. And this electric power will have a steady frequency and a steady quality all along, whether you are running very slow or running very fast. That's how it's meant to function. That is very interesting for transportation on applications where you need electric power, where it's not available, and while transporting it. So there you have the transporting unit, the truck, able to produce electricity and feed a refrigerated container, for example, called a reefer amongst the pros that you are. So you will be able to cool the reefer by feeding it electricity produced by the transporting unit, with a system which will be installed definitely on the truck itself, on the transportation unit, on the truck. It can be also a system which is over there on the locomotive of a train with no access to an electric network. And I know some areas in the world that use a very simple diesel locomotive system, and which has no real possibility of creating good, steady power. So this is a great system as well in this kind of applications. The applications are very numerous actually, and you just need to find them out yourselves. But you need to know that this exists. Now, as I said earlier, there is the AC, alternative current production facility, which you can see one here, quite nice, quite big, installed on the toolbox of a truck. And there are also the smallest one, DC, which are also hydraulically run, and which will create some 12 volts, 24 volts to recharge some specific batteries where you don't have any other choice but create this recharging electricity from hydraulic power. So on trucks, cars, ships, trains, anywhere you need an extra electricity production possibility, that you have it. HG or HGV is the thing to think about. Third electricity production product that present today, it's the HGG, hydraulic ground generator. Hydraulic ground generator, yes. As you know, planes have batteries that they need, and they have very specific batteries, very strong batteries, and they need to be charged each and every time the plane is on the ground. It will help them using much less power while they are running, they are flying. So very often these ground generator systems are some kind of big gensets with gasoline or diesel engines, talking about remote airports. And well, we have created a unit hydraulically run using the hydraulics of anything you want, a tractor, a truck, a car, a pickup. And it will create the exact tension that is needed for a particular type of plane. 23 volt to 31 volt DC, and there you have it. Have a nice picture of an older model here of a HGG run by a tractor to make a test, and well, the flight crew and maintenance crew were very happy about the possibilities of this very small unit that could just recharge the truck with simple hydraulics. There you have it. So this possibility is also there available, which doesn't mean that necessarily any transportation crew will want to buy an HGG and then build. No, but I'm thinking more about people who are building units and vehicles special for the maintenance of planes. That's more for them to decide if this could be bringing a good edge as a final product that they could sell forward. In the line of electricity production, there's also another way to benefit from this electricity production is the creation of a magnetic field. We'll be speaking now about the HMG and the HMAG magnetic products for the handling of bulk ferrous material, steel slab handling, waste collections, also for bulk shipping, for railroad, for anything actually you need to handle with this magnet. The idea is what? Well, it's pretty simple actually. This will be functioning on the same principle as an HG generator, which means that there will be also a motor here run by hydraulics that will be running an alternator to create electricity. But this electricity will be dealt with differently. There is this magnetization and demagnetization module on the side of it, which will be handling the power itself in order to make it usable directly by a magnet. Not only will we make it specifically to what this magnet needs, but it also will help the magnet demagnetize, because this is the unit that will kill the magnetic field, which is still present, reminiscent in the magnet, in order for the magnet to drop what is being handling. And that gives control to the operator, control which is extremely important because you cannot just wait, of course, that scrap or anything heavy just falls from the magnet when the magnet is ready to let it go. So you need to control, and this control is implemented thanks to this module. And the applications are pretty much for scrap, for bulk, on ships, on scrap yards, on many areas. You can use it for also for cleaning purposes, just to get rid of some metallic waste that could be hanging around some yards, some ship, some docks, etc., etc., etc. You need to pick up metal in a very efficient and quick way. This is the solution to think of. Derived product from the HMG and MAG, that is the generator and the magnet. There we have also included both into one package, is the HMAG, or hydraulic magnet. As you can see, you have the magnet itself here. In there, you have the HMG, more precisely said, CMG, with the specific regulation system on the hydraulic side here. This is all under a very thick cover, which protects the generator from shocks and aggressions. And the connection will be happening here. The hydraulic connection will be happening here. And this will run and magnetize at once when you feed hydraulics to it. And once the hydraulic feed drops and ends, the magnet automatically demagnetizes. So hydraulic on, you lift, hydraulics off, you drop. Very interesting as well for, as you can see here, slab handling and even bigger products, because there's a whole range of these available. The interesting thing with these ones is that you can use that very easily on an excavator, for example, and have it up and running very fast, and have the excavator either do some material handling or then some cleaning in an area which needs to be cleaned. Let's have a small lineup of these two product lines. There. That's it about electricity and magnetic products. And next in line, as a different form of energy produced by hydraulics, compressors. HK and HKR air compressors. On the left, you have an HK, which is a piston product line, piston compressor for intermittent use. And on the right, you have a screw compressor for longer using periods. Both of them are run by hydraulics, a hydraulic motor, and the same principle as always, running them at a steady speed. These are pretty neat and very compact products, then again. And what for? Well, transportation, anywhere you need compressed air. And this does not need to be a special installation to produce electricity, to produce compressed air. It will run whether you are stationary or moving, because it's not that important to be very, very, very steady. It will create compressed air no matter what. And no one will notice, and it will not do any harm if it produces at some moment less and at some other moments a little bit more. So you can do both. So what for in transportation? Well, there's the agitation, loading, the unloading of powdery bulk, cement and wheat and things like this, and flour, a lot that you do not want to get compressed and packing up. You need it to be floating around, not making too much dust, but you get the drill. Also for all pneumatic equipment, maintenance purposes like flushing with air, air tools and tire fillings and things of the like. Anytime you need compressed air anywhere, you will have it available. And one which is particularly interesting is that the unlocking of a train's brakes when it's not linked to a locomotive and just to, let's say, logistics reasons, more simple system can be used to move around a small train, and compressed air is needed to unlock the brakes. Also, there is as well the mobile firefighting application possibility, the production of CAF foam, when you have also an HPW water pump. We'll get back to the CAF and firefighting application on board. There you have it. You have a cement truck, you have some cereals, you have normal transportation, depending on what you have in there, and you need to use compressed air to handle it or to keep it in good condition. You need compressed air, and there we can provide. Third form of energy, the HPW water pumps. This is one of the icons. It's actually the icon of Dynaset. The HPW is something that has been invented, 35 years ago about. And it's extremely compact because it integrates everything in one block. It's a piston pump. It's a high pressure piston pump where you have actually a hydraulic piston, central hydraulic piston, which is moving back and forth in this green body. And this hydraulic piston moves a water piston at both ends. Since this hydraulic piston will be going right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, the water pistons will do the same as well. So each time this piston will be pumping water out, the other piston will be sucking water in, and vice versa. When it goes the other direction, and this water piston will be pumping out, and this water piston will be sucking water in. One piston pumps out while the other pumps in, and vice versa. This is, as I said, extremely compact, and it's actually the best power to size ratio in the world. There is no other system able to do the same thing as the HPW. But there are more very interesting features to this pump, or to this pump range, it's maintenance free. You don't need to replace any oils or filters or things like on the pump itself. When it needs to be serviced, replacing some seals or some worn water valves, check valves, it can be done directly on the field, in the field with standard tooling. No need of special tools for that. Also, it is self-priming because it can run dry. Yes, you heard well, it's a piston pump that can run without water. And that's an extremely interesting feature because it's preserving the pump from negligence and negligent worker that would forget to open the water feed to a normal piston pump. We'll see the piston pump seals completely destroyed very fast, but not with this one. There's also a very, very wide a range of models, from a small one that delivers 18 liters a minute, that's 160 bar, up to a big one delivering 300 liters a minute at 300 bar. As well, some smaller output flows, but very high pressure levels, like 1,200 bar at least. Well, it would be very surprising if you don't find a Dynaset HPW pump suitable to the need that you have. Now, it's a Dynaset gem. It's true gem. And we are very proud of this product range here. Now, used for what in transportation? Well, as a washing capacity on the vehicle, either to wash the vehicle itself or to wash the surrounding areas thanks to the power on the vehicle. So we have a lot of products dedicated to washing. Of course, I'm not talking about I'm not going into the details of accessories, but they are basically the pump themselves, which can be used with the proper accessories into steadily installed systems and readily installed systems on a vehicle in order to wash. There's also some completely independent mobile unit where you plug the hydraulic hoses there. You have a suction hose for the water side, and there you have it. Your high pressure washer is up and running, but you can put it off and set it away once you have stopped using it. And another derived product that is interesting in the field of transportation is the KPL product range, which we'll be talking about later, but it's basically a street washing unit, either with a integrated water tank or without the integrated water tank. But the idea is the same, that you have an HPW pump giving high pressure water to a washing ramp that has some nozzles. And while it goes forward, the nozzles clean up the area. Applications, this is one very, very clear, very self-explanatory vehicle washing application, the concrete truck. But it's not only for concrete trucks, it's for, you name it, any kind of truck or even ship or train. If you want, you can have a washing facility integrated to the vehicle in order to have it washed and clean by its own means. The next is the one I just told you about, the KPL. KPL is actually a product range that offers a lot of different configurations. When, well, we've been using here a tractor as an example of vehicle, but of course it can be many things. Many other things, can be a truck, it can be a car, whatever. Small bulldozer, etc. This is the KPL, the standard version of it, with the integrated tank, the hose reel, the pump, and the washing ramp. You can have also everything but the washing ramp at the back and only the washing ramp at the front. Other configurations without the tank, with your own tank, you have a lot of different things. So this is interesting for what? It's interesting for docks, for yards, for tarmacs, for livestock yards, for basically all wide areas that you want to wash and also possibly disinfect with some chemicals in order to avoid the spread of unwanted diseases. You can also use it to spread some other kinds of chemicals that you would be seeing fit and useful to the operations that you are having. Let's have a look at this. All of this is done by the KPL using only hydraulic power from this machine. There. So, as you could see, it's quite versatile, quite easy to use. You can set it, you can do all of this with the KPL, as the KPL is using only the hydraulics from the base machine, nothing else. All the rest is provided by the KPL in the video that you just saw. So there you have it. Next application with the HPW again. Next application is the water misting capacity on the vehicle, on anywhere you want it. This, you have two pictures there. One of which is actually video. This is the first kind of application that we have developed with this HPW Pump 4 misting application. This is for dust suppression to begin with. Dust suppression purposes. As you can see, the idea is to create a very, very nice and fine water fog. And this fog will capture dust where it is produced directly. That's the whole idea, but we will see also afterwards that the water fog can be used for other purposes. You can see, as you could see here, you don't see any kind of dust rising up from the concrete being completely crushed and pulverized. The dust stayed there. So for dust application, dust suppressing application, this water misting capacity is quite interesting for the suppression purposes on bulk handling materials, but it's also interesting for moistening of some bulk materials. Some bulk materials need to be kept moist, and you do not want them to dry too fast, and for other reasons, but also for the reason that you do not want this bulk material to be catching flames too easily either. And again, I'm pretty sure that some of you can invent and think of other needs for this water mist and water fogging capacity. Here, for other dust suppression purposes and temperature control on livestock transportation facilities, it's pretty interesting to have this water mist. In very, very hot countries, it can be problematic to transport livestock in trucks, on barges, or ships, etc., etc. Can be difficult to keep the livestock in good health when there is not enough, well, there's too much heat, and the projection of droplets of water, of water fog in the premises every now and then helps drastically to lower the temperatures. And the animals do not mind. The livestock likes it. Yes. Now, of course, with an HPW high pressure water pump, as soon as you have this on board, it will become as well a firefighting capacity. Firefighting capacity with water or other systems, but that we will see right away, but on bulk, flammable bulk and timber and some other materials that are being transported. It's never a bad idea to have a high pressure water lance if you need to suppress starting fire, for example, with it. Something that would be fast to start and fast to set up, and always on board the vehicle. Now, we spoke earlier about the CAF, the compressed air foam, extinguishing foam. When used together with an HKR air compressor and an HPW water pump, the two forms of energy combined can be used into a special system that creates these CAF. And the CAF is extremely efficient in fire extinguishing capacities. It sticks to everywhere, and this is more a firefighting application, but well applied to transportation. Next, still with the HPW, de-icing capacity in airports. De-icing capacity, these HPW pumps will bring about the possibility of having on board a high pressure water pump that will be able to spray at high pressures and also at rather high temperatures, a mixture of urea and water that is sprayed on the wings of the planes, as you can see here, during cold winters before takeoff. And the same principle is used as well on this kind of truck, as you see on the left, bottom left of the slide, which is a system which is meant to de-ice not a plane, but the tarmac itself. Otherwise, too icy conditions make things very dangerous for braking needs. As you could see, these two ramps are deploying, and then everything is sprayed on a very, very wide area in order to be able to treat and de-ice very wide areas at a time and very fast and efficiently. So tarmacs, but why not docks if needed to be de-iced that way? It's always a possibility. Now we have spoken quite a lot about the HPW water pumps, and we'll be shifting to another form of energy produced by hydraulic power. It's the airflow. Let's speak about the HCF hydraulic fans. It's meant to produce a very, very high airflow. It's a centrifugal fan driven by a hydraulic motor that you can see here. And like any centrifugal fan that you can see, as you can see here, it will be sucking air in from the center under, and it would be blowing it out on this direction. That's quite an interesting product to be used actually when you need to keep a container or a cargo bay, for example, under pressurized or over pressurized. That would be for contamination control of bigger volumes, for example. And of course, it will bring about hydraulically driven ventilation anywhere you need the benefits of ventilation. Either you want to use the cooling effect of air ventilation or the drying effect of it, or the dust collection if you want to use it as a vacuum cleaner. It's a big, 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 big air blower, basically. It will be used for bulk cargo, for livestock, on trains, on ships, on trucks. We spoke about, for the livestock earlier, we spoke about misting water onto in the area where the livestock is, so that the animals don't suffer too much. There is also the addition of a strong air current in the same volume, in the same room. The two of them together will bring about a very nice, very simple way of keeping the temperature very low. But as I said earlier, it can be used for other applications. And we have here a very nice product range of these HCF. As you can see, the three of them, depending on the size they have, it will be an airflow of 0.8 or 1.5 or 3.4 cubic meters per second. And the smaller the HCF, the stronger the depression created, -11, -9, or -8 kilopascal of vacuum created. There you have it. You can probably find what you need in one of these three models if you want to develop one of the applications I was speaking earlier. We have, however, developed ourselves a tool based upon the HCF, which is the HRVB. The HRVB is a hydraulic vacuum bucket. It's actually a very simple tool to use, and it helps a lot in the fast vacuum cleaning of vast areas and mechanized vacuum cleaning of vast areas. So it can be used on docks, on yards, on tarmacs to keep the area clean after a certain bulk has been used there, and you don't want too much to use rakes and people with brushes, for example. Let's see what it looks like. Very simple, once again, because we could go on and on and on about demonstrations of the HRVB, but we don't have that much time today anyway. So very fast So there you have it, about the HRVB ready-made vacuum bucket, which is a vacuum cleaner. Next, in the field of transportation, sometimes you would like to use the same tools, hydraulically driven tools, where you, but the usual vehicle is not available there. So in that case, we can propose this HPUD, high pressure hydraulic power unit, sorry, with a diesel motor, which will create as a standalone unit the hydraulic energy that you might need. That's one thing that would be, for example, giving availability, separate availability on, even on a train, for example, to put it on. Or if someone wants to build a specific trailer, which can be functioning with all hydraulic systems and tools that we have spoken about, but even as a standalone, when the trailer is somewhere set far from the truck, that usually pulls it. The applications are yours to have. You have two models, delivery 350 bar each, and the other will be delivering 150 liters a minute, the other 210 liters a minute, which should be pretty much enough to do a lot of work already. So it can also be used as well as a backup hydraulic power source for all kinds of applications, anywhere you need it. There you have it. We've been talking about the HG, HGV, HGG for all kinds of different power generation. We've been talking about the HMG and HMAG, magnetic products, the HK and HKR for compressed air production, and a lot of things have been said about the HPW water pumps and all the derived products based on the HPW. We also spoke about the HCF airflow fan, hydraulic centrifugal fan, the HRVB hydraulic vacuum bucket, and the HPU hydraulic power units. So with all of these, we feel confident that you can find something, some applications where Dynaset can be of help. Feel free to invent your transportation application, not your rescue. Sorry, this is a mistake, because Dynaset can provide. Ask us for help, and we'll see everything that can be done to make things happen the way you want them to happen. Right? So I shall now give you the microphone if some of you want to ask a few questions about what you just saw. Do you have any questions? Okay, no questions. So I guess I've been quite clear. But anyway, not possible for me to tell you everything there is to say about all of these applications, of course not. So for more info, please contact your Dynaset dedicated contact, either your dealer or your area sales manager if you are a dealer. You go to dynaset.com/contact/ and you will find a map that you see on the left here. Just zoom in and find out the nearest dealer that can provide some answers to you. And zoom in, find out, be in touch, we'll be there for you. Thank you very much for watching this webinar, and I hope this has been of some help and has started giving answers to some of you, at least some of you, if not all of you. Thank you very much.